What am I talking about? Oh yeah, okay. Let's talk about drugs. A lot of you might know my story already, but I'll recap it quickly. I had, from about the age of 15 to 23, 22, I had very, very bad social anxiety and depression. Like, to the point where it became a mountainous task to do something very simple, like walking around to the local corner shop or something. Like, I remember specifically times where my mom would ask me, "Oh, Sam, could you go and get some milk?" And I could not do it because I was so overwhelmed with anxiety about talking to the cashier just selling me milk. Obviously, this was a very long and dark period of my life. I lost a lot of friends. I didn't go out the house. I did not develop much as a person. I did not develop my social skills at all, pretty much. And of course, these years, 15 to 22, are very much so the most important years of your life, in my opinion anyway. And it can also be the most social and the most fun parts of your life. I didn't have any of that. I didn't go to a club until I was 22. In fact, literally a few days ago from this date was the first time I went to a bar. It wasn't even a club, actually, it was a bar. Now, you might be wondering, Sam, what's this got to do with drugs? The party environment is absolutely overrun with the use of drugs, especially in the UK, all around the world. This is going to be quite a difficult topic to talk about. At age 22, I got in touch with some of my friends. I went to a bar, had a few drinks, got a bit drunk. It was really fun. Then a few weeks later, I'm not entirely sure on the timeline here, but a few weeks later I went to my first club. It was a very small, like, humble club, very like, oh, white girl music, oh, Taylor Swift. You know, it wasn't like a club in the city centre. It was still in like a quite popping area, but you know, it was like a good gateway into going to a club. And obviously I was a big spurg, so my friends very kindly eased me into nightlife and going out. That was a really fun night. Had a good time, just on drink. Now, the next time we went out, we went to a club which is in the city centre, so it's actually a popular club. You know, one of the staple clubs of the nightlife in the city which I'm from, which is Birmingham. And I ended up doing a pill. I took a pill, which was very bizarre for me because I literally had such strong feelings about taking any sort of medication, even like doctor prescription type of things, which would alter how my brain works. It's a bit of a strange, I suppose not actually all that strange, but yeah. I had so much friction with actually starting antidepressants. The only reason I went on antidepressants is because my mom was concerned for me. Very concerned. I had to take that seriously, so I went on to antidepressants. It was quite strange for me to actually want to try MDMA. It was ecstasy, so it literally releases serotonin in your brain, which is the chemical release of happiness. It gives you joy. It gives you feelings of pure ecstasy and love. So much love. I started with half a pill, took it outside of the club. We bought a bottle of water. Half a pill, get it down your son. Didn't feel anything for, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. And suddenly, they come up. It can come in many different forms. I found that, me personally, I've done MDMA a few times now, and I find that I can get a little bit anxious on the come up. I find that my legs start to feel quite floaty, and very slowly and surely, lights and music can start to sound very fucking nice, and the lights are just it's like everything's kind of moving in slow motion quite weirdly. And then you get through the come up, and then you are in the high, and the high is it's really fun. Actually, obviously it's fun because your fucking serotonin is just being pumped out of your brain. You're just so happy. You're so full of love. Everyone around you, you have so much love and appreciation for. You're like telling people, I love you so much. Physical symptoms. I actually took video of me and took pictures of myself to see what I looked like. Fucking hell. So my eyes were literally massive eyes, massive pupils. I had chewing gum because one of the symptoms is having like a swinging jaw. So kind of like that. I'm not sure why that is. You get that with cocaine as well, I think. But yeah, did this pill in the club. It was really fun. Had a really sick time. There was actually one thing which kind of booped me out. See, in the UK, you go to a club. It's actually, to be fair, I'm in Thailand right now. They have the same shit here. They have boss man in the toilet in Thailand, guys. If you're from the UK, you know boss man. In the bathroom of toilets, it's going to sound really bizarre if you don't know about this, because it surprised me heavily when I walked into the toilet of a club and there was just a man stood there. There's a guy there who sort of stands in the corner, and he offers to spray you with aftershave. He offers to sell you cigarettes, sell you a vape, offers to wipe your hands sometimes. And then you can give him some money for that. Boss man at this club which I was at when I first time I did a pill, I walked in and it was just me and him. I went into the cubicle because I'm a bit pee shy. I don't think I'm pee shy anymore. I think I'll just whip it out and start pissing wherever I want nowadays. But back then I was pretty pee shy. Went into the cubicle to piss, came out. As I was leaving, he grabbed my wrist like this and he goes, in a very thick African accent, "I know what you were doing in there, big man." And I obviously I'm new as fuck to that sort of stuff, to drugs, and I didn't do any drugs in the cubicle. I had already done my drugs. But yeah, that booked me the fuck out, and I went back to the dance floor. I'm out with my friends, and then I had to go to the smoking area for 20 minutes, and my friends calmed me down. But other than that, fantastic night, really fun. And then I went out again, a few weeks later or something, did another pill. Quite fun, really fun. I went to a rave, which is like a club but better, and it's more of an event, and they were playing music that I really liked, drum and bass, and I did another pill there, and that was really fun. And that's actually the first time I met with Hamza as well. Hamza came down to that exact rave. It was a Halloween rave. And then slowly and surely I just continued, going to more raves. Didn't do clubs anymore. And my friends found clubs a bit cringe, which I understand. But yeah, we kept booking in raves. Raves was very fun. And I started to get quite conscious, what are the downsides to using MDMA every 2 or 3 weeks as I was. And I started, doing a bit of research, and it's oh, fucking hell, yeah, I'm kind of abusing this substance right now. I should be doing this once every 3 months, minimal. So, okay, yeah, fine, okay, I'll just go to the next thing sober. It's fine. I'll have a drink instead. And by the way, this is no one else's fault other than mine. I don't want this to sound people were just offering me substances and I was just peer pressured into doing. No, not at all. I don't want it to sound like that at all. But I'm just telling my unfiltered story about how I went from a guy who was just trying a pill in a club, who had only just started going out, to me about 2 months ago talking to 4 people who weren't real in someone's lounge while high on cocaine, ketamine, and balloons within the space of a year. So that's the objective of this video. I'm just telling the story about how we got to that point. And I'll say this now as well. I don't think there's anything wrong with occasionally using drugs in the party environment to enhance your fun. I think that's fine, actually. If you're that way inclined, I think that's fine. To be honest with you, even now as I'm making this video, I think I'd still sometimes, occasionally, do a pill, because that's really fun. I wouldn't recommend anyone else to do that though. Don't do that. But personally, that's how I feel. Anyway, I found that I was getting more and more opportunities as I was putting myself in the environment for this sort of stuff. Raves and clubs are just, again, littered with people doing all sorts of drugs. And so the opportunity arose, I'll try some ketamine. And I was yeah, same shit with the pills. I want to experience what it's like. Did some ketamine, very little amount because I'm a complete lightweight with this stuff. And yeah, it blows my fucking head off. I'm ketamine's really interesting. It was originally horse tranquilizer. It was meant to be horse tranquilizer, but it's actually hallucinogenic. And it's a powder that you snort up your nose. Every time you do it, it's incredibly different experience. And there's also a thing called the K-hole, where if you do too much of it, you will K-hole. And I mean, I can't even begin to describe the K-hole in any way, shape or form. The thing I experienced, I was just telling you about talking to 5 people who weren't there, that was the K-hole. I did too much ketamine, and again, every person's experience is different. I've only K-holed once, But from what I've heard, the K-hole is something that you absolutely want to avoid. It's usually going to be quite a negative experience. But when you're not K-holed and you're on ketamine, you just feel very light and bouncy. It's like you're on, it's like you're drunk, but you don't have the negative effects of being drunk. I think that's the best way I can describe ketamine. So yeah, I tried some ketamine, and then, I can only do a pill once every 3 months, otherwise it'll fuck up my serotonin. But I'm going out once every 2 weeks now. How am I supposed to have fun? I'd like to have fun with my friends and be less socially anxious in that environment. I'd like to be more comfortable. And I'm around a bunch of drunk people. I'm around a bunch of people who are on drugs. So it's like, yeah, I should be, I could do that too. So I started using ketamine as well. I started doing ketamine when I went out. It became quite normal at that point. Oh yeah, ketamine, yeah. Oh yeah, I'll do a bump, Couple of months of that, and then the opportunity arose to try some balloons, which balloons are very interesting. I think it's nitrous oxide. Basically, you fill up a balloon with nitrous oxide. It's a literal balloon. It's like a balloon that's full of nitrous oxide. Put it in your mouth. You do that for however long it takes. Doesn't take long until the balloon's empty usually. And then for 30 seconds to a minute, you are on a different fucking planet. Especially if you're already on a different substance. It'll still quite fuck you up if you're completely sober and you do it. But if you're on something like MDMA or ketamine, it will enhance the effects of that tenfold. The thing is, I've done quite a few balloons, and I'm not sure the effect it has on me is the same as other people. I don't think I do them very well. I don't know why, but the effect is seemingly the same every time I do one. I do this until the balloon's empty. And then by the time I'm at the end of the balloon, I'm usually oh, like that, literally. And I'm grunting at that as well. I'm oh, like this, because it's a very intense feeling, incredibly intense feeling. One of the most intense things I've ever felt is I did a balloon at a rave on top of a balcony overlooking the crowd and the music. And I remember I did the balloon, I sat down, just seeing Jesus. And then I looked over the balcony, and honest to God, the whole room was vibrating. It was it had a fucking shake effect on the room. And I honestly thought Kim Jong-un finally came through with a nuke or something. That's how it felt. One of the most intense things I've ever felt. Balloons. I didn't do them too frequently because they're a little bit more tricky to, get a hold of. You can't really smuggle balloons into the rave. Oh, side note as well, how I smuggled shit in. I'm not sure I should really be telling you that though, because that's giving you advice on how to smuggle drugs. I'm not entirely sure I should be doing that. I might cut that out. But yeah, you can't easily smuggle balloons into a rave. I went to one rave where they were, I went to 2 raves where they were literally just selling balloons there. They just did not give a shit. So yeah, we did balloons there. That was cool. And then cocaine. I started doing cocaine as well. Quite easy to transition from ketamine to cocaine because it's powder. It looks the fucking same. And it's yeah, why not? I'll try another drug. Cocaine, Jesus. The first time I did it, I didn't think it had any effect on me. But then I realized very quickly it was having an effect on me. It basically makes your brain run times 10 speed. You're talking very fast. You're very wired. You're just wired as fuck. You're focused, and you get the same thing with the jaw. You wake up the next morning with a very tight jaw, and your eyes are just beady. Just gives you ridiculous explosive energy. I remember one time I did cocaine and I was literally just running and skipping through the streets. That's the best way I describe cocaine. It literally just makes you wired as fuck. But I think you can see where this video is going. The message of this video is do you see how quickly I went from, oh, I'll try a pill, oh, I'll try ketamine, oh, I'll try this and this, to literally oh, every time I go out now, I'm in the environment where this stuff is very normal, and I'm actually using it quite fucking often now. And the thing is, it feels really hollow, because you're feeling these emotions, you're saying these things, you're dancing and stuff, but you're not actually living it. You are living it, but it's not actually you saying these things. You'll probably be quite aware of a joke if you go out quite often, where it's you make a load of friends on a night out, and you add them on Instagram and stuff, and then you wake up and you're who the fuck is this guy? It's because these experiences you have are just so superficial. They don't mean anything. And it was especially yesterday when I made a video about climbing a waterfall. That moment for me was like, yeah, this is actually real shit. This is like real as hell. And I should seek out experiences like this a lot more rather than these very like superficial ones. I'm not entirely sure where I stand with partying and like raves and drugs, because it only got pointed out to me that it had became a problem when Hamza like sat me down and just said to me like, dude, you've got a fucking problem. And I didn't see it that way at all. I was just like, no, this is normal. Like, you know, I'm just going out and having fun. You know, some drugs, it's fine. But like, I went out one night, I did cocaine at a club, decent bit of cocaine as well. And I'm at the point now where I had made this rule to myself that I would never buy drugs myself. I would only like do them if like someone I was with was doing them and they were just like, you know, offered to me, or I was like, oh yeah, fine, I'll do it. But I was at the point now where I had bought my own bag of cocaine and I was smuggling it into a club myself and, you know, like sneaking off to the fucking bathroom and like doing keys of cocaine. It devolved very quickly from a very innocent like, oh yeah, I'll try this, to being like kind of a fucking crackhead, man. So as I was saying, like I went out on this night out, I had cocaine and went home to my friend's house, and just for no fucking reason other than drugs, I just did like a massive key of ketamine and like fucking 20 balloons. Yeah, that's when I had this experience where I K-holed. And I was just sat on the sofa. It's so sad, actually. Fuck. I have videos of me while I was in this state. I think because my friends left me, they actually went to bed and left me like K-hold. I found like comfort in my phone because it was the only thing that was grounding me to reality. So I just like recorded videos of myself to make sure I was okay and safe. And yeah, I have like, you know, 40 minutes of me on my phone with fucking powder all around my nose. Literally just, I can't even bring myself to watch them, to be honest. I watched about 2 minutes of one of them and it made me deeply, deeply sad. And I haven't watched the rest of them. And I don't think I will, because just seeing that, how far I had gone, was deeply uncomfortable for me. So yeah, I sat there for 5 hours alone, for like half an hour. By the way, like these time scales are like probably fucked because you don't have a great sense of time when you're fighting demons. But I was speaking to people on the sofa who weren't there. And then I pulled up my phone. I don't know, like I got booked out by the way someone spoke to me out of these imaginary people somehow. And then it clicked in my brain like, oh wait, these guys are real. And then I pulled up my phone, whipped out my camera, recorded the room, and there was no one there. And then when I looked back up from my phone, they were just gone. So like I had assumed I was talking to my friends, but my friends had went to bed like an hour ago. And the rest of the hours, I was conscious of this amount of time. I don't know how long I was speaking to the people who weren't real, but for literally like 5 hours, I was like just surviving, and like I couldn't really walk. I remember I got up to get a drink and it took me a very long time to be able to walk over to the sink and turn the tap on. I can't describe to you the K-hole, I can't. There was also, I learned the next morning that at some point I had went outside as well. I was outside, sat on the bench. I had zero memory of that, any of that at all. And you know what, man? Like, while this was happening, you know, the morning after, it was still quite funny. It's like, oh, that was fun, guys. Like, you know, I K-holed and I was fighting demons, so funny, When I called Hamza the next morning and he was asking, oh, how was your night? You know, he was like aware that I was being like a degenerate in this sense. And I told him just how like bad it was, but like obviously I wasn't saying it in the sense of like, oh, it's so bad, Hamza. I was saying like, I was kind of proud of it in a weird way. Like, oh yeah, we did this and this, and it was so funny. It's like he was with our mutual friend Chris at the time as well, and I distinctly remember just like this look of concern on his face, and I was quite confused by that at the time because I was so deep in this rabbit hole that I didn't, again, realize that it was a fucking problem. We, didn't talk about it there and then because, I was still at my friend's house. But, a few weeks later, we finally discussed it. And yeah, I don't know, when one of my brothers sits me down and says, Sam, I need to like talk to you. This is like serious and that this is a problem. I took that very seriously because even though there was zero thoughts in my mind that it was a problem, this is my fucking boy. This is my boy telling me like that I'm not thinking straight. So I listened. I listened very intently. And yeah, I had a fucking problem. I was going down a very dark path, actually. There is no rewards to be reaped from these hollow experiences fueled by drugs. And again, like, as I said earlier in the video, like, yeah, I think I would maybe do a pill once every 3 months because, yeah, that shit's fun. And if you are going to use drugs to enhance your partying, there is certainly a correct way to do it. Ideally, you don't do them at all, of course. And I don't recommend anyone at all to do drugs at all. You don't fucking need them. If you're having fun on a night out, you don't need them. And that's the thing that concerns me as well. Would I enjoy these nights out if I wasn't on drugs? And that's a question which I'm sort of coping with because I've cut off clubs. I'm done with clubs. Raves are a bit different because I genuinely love the music that is played there. Would I enjoy going to raves if I wasn't on any substances? If I maybe had like one drink of rum, I'll allow myself a drink of rum. I'm not sure. I actually don't know. And that's fucking interesting. I hope to God that I do enjoy them because it would make me really fucking sad to think that the times I've been going out, maybe not all of the times, but like some of the times which I was going out in the past year have just been fueled by this artificial source of happiness rather than being present and happy to be around my friends and the music I love. When I do go home from Thailand, I'm not sure if I'm going to be going to raves for a little bit because I plan on going home and very much so getting on a very productive routine immediately, very strict for like 3 to 6 months to just get some things right, basically. But then after that, when my options have opened up again and the opportunity arises to go to a rave, I've made the promise that the next 3 raves I go to will be substance free. And if I don't enjoy them, then the reality is I wasn't even enjoying them in the first place. I was just enjoying the drugs. That would make me deeply sad if that was the case. But I need the answer to that because in an ideal world, I'm not going out on these nights out in the first place. I think I very much speed ran this conclusion because obviously I started going out when I was 22. A lot of people start going out at 18. Even before that, I've met lots of girls who have said to me like, oh, I've been going to clubs since I was 14, which is batshit insane and incredibly illegal and fucking weird. But my point is, it's not taken me very long to come to the conclusion that these clubs and these environments aren't actually shit. I'm coping with the raves because I really like the music. That's literally the only reason. And of course, like my friends go. Again, with the waterfall experience I talked about yesterday, I would much rather be doing shit like that. It doesn't even come close to comparing. So yeah, the message of this video is you would be very surprised how quickly these things can devolve from a very innocent, oh, I'll try this, to being a fucking crackhead. So this is my warning to you, my viewers who are most likely somewhat similar to me in some senses. Maybe you're in the same position I was in where you haven't started going to clubs yet and you're going to get exposed to these opportunities to try these things. Or you're in a position which I was in a few months ago where you're finding yourself going out quite often and nearly every time you're going out, you're abusing some sort of substance. If you're in either one of those boats, my message to you is to just be very, very, very careful and to surround yourself with good friends who have your best interests at heart and not the sort of friends which you meet at the fucking rave or the club. You want friends outside of that situation who doesn't have that bias, who can tell you that you're in trouble or who can tell you that you're doing the wrong things. Because if I didn't have that with Hamza and my other friend Ostrix, who also had a similar concern about the direction I was going, and we talked about that quite a lot, then you might find yourself pretty fucking screwed. Because as I said, I wasn't even aware it was a problem, and it will continue to spiral until you are literally a crackhead. Righto. That was quite difficult to talk about. My family watch these videos. Very sorry about that if you're watching and you found that quite uncomfortable to listen to. But I very much so want to be very unfiltered and honest, because that is the only way you're going to learn from the mistakes that I've made and the experiences which I've had. Sweet. I hope that video helped. I hope it's interesting. If you have any other questions for me, slap them in the comments, and I will see you guys tomorrow.